and volume 6 stars. Wow. Hey guys, it's Cassera, and today I have for you guys my March week 2 reading vlog. So it's Sunday, March 10th. Last night I read the next volume, volume 2 in Full Metal Alchemist. I liked volume 2 a lot more than volume 1. I felt like the plot it worked a lot better than in volume 1. I still want more from this, so I'm excited to get to volume 3, but I'm going to wait a little while because this week is the ReReadathon, so I want to do a lot of rereading of some of the old books that I've wanted to reread for a really long time now. So I will be getting to those soon. There are a few things I want to finish up before I get to those. First of all, I did finish Assassin's Apprentice, so that's actually a reread for me, and I finished it on the first day of the ReReadathon. I finished it this morning. I enjoyed it a lot more this time around than last time around. I think part of the reason is just because it's kind of backstory for me for the Live Ship Traders trilogy, which I really, really love. So I enjoyed learning that backstory or rereading that backstory basically, because I was paying more attention to the details this time around than I was the first time around. The first time around I was just kind of when's it gonna get to the plot? I didn't actually care about the plot this time around. So that's why, because the plot's a bit slower in this one. All of Robin Hobb's books are very character driven, and back then I was way more into plot driven books. So I enjoyed getting kind of this backstory and where all of the stuff sort of fit together. I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I made some progress on City of Brass. I'm right about there now, so I'm almost halfway through it. I'm not enjoying the writing style at all in this one. I just really don't like the writing style. I've gotten to the point where I kind of have to not care about the details in order to enjoy this book. While I still think that it's very intriguing, this is definitely right now it's a 3.5 star book to me. If the ending is good. It's a 3.5 star book if the plot goes where I think it's gonna go. And I'm not sure if it's gonna do that yet. So I'm hoping that it's better than I think it's gonna be, but I don't have very high hope for it anymore, which is sad because this was on my 5-star predictions list. I thought I was gonna really love this book, but it's not as good as I hoped it was gonna be. So that makes me sad, but I'm gonna try and finish this one today when that's kind of a lot to finish in one day. I don't know if I will finish it today, but I'm gonna try and finish it tonight when I come back so that I can start all of my ReReadathon TBR, because I really want to get to The Blade itself, which is the first book that I want to start reading for the ReReadathon. I might still start that one even if I don't finish this one, because I did finish Assassin's Apprentice, so I'll still be reading the same number of books. Okay, it's still Sunday, it's evening time now, and I just finished Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I did not expect to like this book. Going into this book last week, I was really, really skeptical because I did not think that I would end up liking it, but I did. I liked it a lot more than I expected to, especially the second half of it. The first half is really slow and it's not as interesting to me, and it's hard to get into, but the second half, the characters in the second half, Amy, first of all, Amy, maybe one of my favorite characters ever written. I absolutely love Amy. She's a horrible person, mind you. She's a very unlikable character. All of the characters in this book, except for maybe Go, are unlikable characters, but I kind of love all of them. I do, which is bad, but at the same time, they're really, really well done, and I love the way that they're written. They're perfect domestic thriller type characters, and that just makes them fantastic. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. So for some reason, I have been in a graphic novel sort of mood. So I was thinking I was gonna pick up volume 3 of Full Metal Alchemist when I got home today, but I also really wanna finish City of Brass, and I've been seeing the Owl Crate challenge on Instagram. Today is to read the Tea Dragon Society from the most recent Owl Crate box. So that's for March 10th, which is today. So I figured I'm going to read this tonight and then I'll get to City of Brass because this is a lot shorter than Full Metal Alchemist would be. So I'm excited for it. I have my tea heating up right now, so I'm gonna go do this in a moment. And when I'm done with this one, I'm gonna get to City of Brass and hopefully I'll finish it because yeah, smack dab in the middle of City of Brass. But I think I can finish it tonight so that I can get to my rereads for the week starting tomorrow. So I just finished The Tea Dragon Society by Kato Neo. It's super short, like it didn't take maybe 20 minutes to read this. And of course, it's a graphic novel. By the way, there's some beautiful artwork. There's some really beautiful artwork in this one. These are some of my like favorite pages. This one, oh my gosh. Some of the artwork is very beautiful. I actually want to read more by her because the artwork is beautiful and it was a fun story. Like I never actually got up to get my tea because I was pretty into it. So I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I thought I would just like sit down and like flip through it once or twice, but like I was actually really into it. I liked the characters. Minette is my favorite character in it. Yeah, I have a favorite character in a tiny short graphic novel, but it's actually my first graphic novel that's not manga because the only graphic novels I've read before is the 2 volumes of Full Metal Alchemist that I read this month. So I think I like this form of entertainment. It also feels like a good like middle grade story and I really enjoyed it. I think I would give it 4 stars because for like such a short graphic novel, it's actually a pretty good world too. Like it's a very interesting world. I wonder if she has more graphic novels in this world because that would be very interesting to me. If you know, if you've read any of Kato Neal's stuff before, let me know because I would be interested in picking it up because this was actually very good. Now I actually am gonna go get my tea and read City of Brass while I drink my tea. So it's Monday, March 11th. And last night, I finished City of Brass by S.A. Chakrabarti. I should have loved this book. This book has everything in it for me to love it. It has great mythology. I love the world building in this book. The world building is so well done. Like, the plot points in this book are, like, great action sort of plot points. It has some great complex political situations. It has an interesting history. It has a romantic subplot. Like, the bones of this book should make me like this book. Everything that you could possibly think about this book before reading it should make me like this book. But I struggled so badly with this one. If you want to see just how much I struggled, because this is like the beginning of the vlog, but I talked about this one a lot in week 1 of my reading vlog. So I'll link that up in the corner for you guys. But I struggled so much with this one. Really didn't like any of the characters. There was one character I liked. One character out of the entire book that I liked. I did not like our main character. There's the romance that happens in here. I felt like it was forced and unrealistic. Like it didn't feel right to me. And I'm one of those people that loves romantic subplots. I love romantic subplots in my fantasy books and it just didn't work for me. Like the plot at the end is very interesting and I love what happens there, which is why I'll still end up picking up the second book. But the character motivations for what happens at the end annoyed me. Like, it didn't really work either. I didn't think it was very realistic. And of course, if you watch that other vlog, I absolutely don't like the writing in this book. I don't like it at all. The writing had a tendency to withhold like little bits of information that were necessary for no reason at all. I feel like they were trying to be subtle in the way they were doing their world building to make the book easier to read, but it just made it really confusing. I understood what was happening in the book, but this is not a book that I could recommend to anyone because I know regular high fantasy readers would be annoyed by that, and then people who don't read high fantasy a lot will have difficulty reading this book because of that. I ended up giving it 2.5 stars, which I'm not happy about because I really, really wanted to love this book. This was on my 5-star prediction lists. I couldn't do it, so
yeah. Also last night, after I finished Gone Girl on audio, I had to pick up a new audiobook. I don't have any audiobooks that are rereads for me other than Goblet of Fire, which I'll probably finish this week, just listening to half an hour a night. So I don't feel like it's really necessary to listen to it all day because I'll probably just finish it today if I did that. I have a bunch of audiobooks that I just got off of hold from the library, so I decided to just pick the first one up in that queue, and that's Us Against You by Frederick Bachman. I read Beartown last month and I absolutely loved it, so I'm super excited for Us Against You, and that's what I'm gonna read today. When I get home, I will finally get to the ReReadathon, so I'm excited for that.
So it's still Monday. I just got home from work. So today I forgot my headphones, so I couldn't listen to any audiobooks at work, but I decided to pick up an ebook. Since none of my rereads were available from my library on ebook, I decided I wanted something that was short that I could read while I was at work, but I would be done with by the time I got home. So I decided to pick up the poetry collection, The Princess Saves Herself in This One by Amanda Lovelace. So this won the Goodreads Choice Awards for Best Poetry of 2018, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't know what to think going into it, like if I would like it or not, just because I generally am not that big of a fan of poetry. I don't read a lot of poetry. It's something that I'm interested in a little bit, that I want to get more into. So I actually really like this one. I think part of the reason why I liked it is because I have like a whimsical fantasy side, and this one is broken up into like 4 different sections, and the first one is the princess, the damsel, the queen, and then yourself, or you, I think is what it is. So it kind of has this like cute fantasy trope kind of aspect to it, but it is still like modern poetry. So I enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. There were some poems I really didn't like, but most of the poems I really liked reading it. It was great for work too as an ebook, because you can finish a poem really quickly. So if I get interrupted, I don't like take myself out of the story and then have to try and get back into the story. It actually worked really well in that sense. So I liked reading it. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I read it. But I am home now, so I'm finally gonna get to The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. I'm gonna start this in a few minutes. This is the first book on my ReReadathon TBR, because this week is the ReReadathon and I'm so excited to finally start it. I'm picking the biggest one first because I'm gonna need as many days as possible if I actually plan on finishing this one. I think though I may also pick up one of the smaller middle grade books just in case this one's a little dense for me, but I don't think it should be. I don't remember very much about it other than it starts off really quickly. Like it starts off with an action scene. That's all I remember. So I'm excited to get into it, and hopefully I'll remember more as we get into it. This one, by the way, fulfills the prompt of giving a book a second chance, because the first time around I didn't really like it. I enjoyed it enough, but it wasn't like one of those where I was like so ready to read the next book in the series. So I'm hoping that I'll like it more this time around, because so many people love this series and I really want to love it too. So I'm hoping that I'm gonna like it. So it's Tuesday, March 12th, and last night I was really tired, so I did not feel like using my brain too much. I wanted to read something that was really easy to read, so I didn't end up starting The Blade Itself. I want to start that this morning. I do have to go to work today, but I want to at least read the first chapter of this, but I want to start out with something a little bit easier. So first of all, last night I did end up reading something. I ended up reading volume 3 of Full Metal Alchemist, and I really liked it. I liked it. Volumes 2 and 3 I liked a lot more than volume 1, and I'm definitely excited to see what happens in the next 3 volumes of this one. So I ended up giving it 4 stars. So volume 1 I gave 3.5 stars, and then 2 and 3 I ended up giving 4 stars, and I'm hoping that starting in the next set of volumes I'll start giving 5 stars to this one, because I really like the world building, I like the characters, and I want to see the plot, you know, take off. And I've heard in volume 6 that's when the plot really, you start to really see where the plot is going. So I'm excited for that. This morning I am going to start Once Upon a Marigold by Jean Ferris. This is for the ReReadathon. This is my book that is a childhood favorite, I believe is the one that I picked for this one. And I'm excited for this one. I haven't reread it since elementary school, I want to say. So I'm hoping that I'll like it just as much as I liked it back then, because I loved this book so much in elementary school. So I'm hoping I'm still going to like it. So I'm going to start this one. It's pretty short. It's actually almost 300 pages. It's 270 pages, but it's a small book. So I think I can get through a good portion of this one, and then before I leave for work, I'm going to read like the first chapter or so of The Blade Itself. So Once Upon a Marigold by Jean Ferris. I absolutely loved it. I knew I would love it because obviously this is a reread. It was one of my childhood favorites for the ReReadathon. It was so good this time around. I would also consider this a children's book, not so much a middle grade. I thought it was middle grade. It's more of a children's book. It reminds me a lot of Ella Enchanted actually, which I'm also planning to reread this week. So I'm gonna wait a little while before I reread that one. But this one has like the same sort of feeling to it as Ella Enchanted did. And I absolutely enjoyed it. There is a sequel to this one. I'm considering picking it up now because I haven't read the sequel and I'm thinking that I might like that one too. I made a lot of progress on Us Against You by Frederick Bachman. I'm getting a bit of a headache, so I decided not to finish it tonight. I only have like an hour left, so I'm gonna finish it tomorrow morning, but I'm very excited for it. I am liking it as much of, if not more than, Beartown. And I loved Beartown so much. So I'm really enjoying Us Against You. I have to read more Frederick Bachman books because they're so good and I absolutely adore them. I did finally start The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. This is a reread for me. This is giving a book a second chance because it's a book that I really want to love. And I read this during a massive reading slump. So I feel like I really didn't give it a good enough chance the first time around because I've heard so many people that I trust talk about this book and they like this whole series and I really want to love it. So I'm giving this one a second chance. I'm not very far into it. I read the first 10 pages, but I was getting a headache because I need to go to sleep. I had a long day at work today. So I decided to put it down for now, but tomorrow I will definitely get to this one. This is gonna be my priority tomorrow. So instead, I'm just gonna read a volume of Full Metal Alchemist and then go to sleep. Last night I read Volume 4 of Full Metal Alchemist. I definitely enjoyed Volume 4 more than all the previous volumes that I've read. I'm really excited to continue on with this series. I'm kind of really into it now. I ended up giving Volume 4 4.5 stars. I really like it. That being said, the thing I've heard the most about Full Metal Alchemist is about the magic system and then it's a hard magic system. But they haven't really used magic yet. Like the first 4 volumes, and I'm just like waiting for them to actually use it. They've talked about a time that they've used magic. They've set up the magic system, like we understand how it works, but they haven't used it yet. There's a lot of fighting, yet not a whole lot of magic. So, ooh, actually, this guy uses magic. So maybe there's a little bit of magic, but his is a little bit more mysterious, I guess. But I'm definitely excited to see our actual main characters, the Eldrick brothers, actually use magic. Because I think that should be very interesting. So I'm definitely excited to continue on with this. I don't know if I'm going to continue on with it today because I have a lot of other stuff that I want to do, but really enjoying this one right now. I finally got to read the next chapter in The Blade Itself, and I don't know what it is, but I'm actually really liking the writing style in this one. I don't remember liking the writing style the first time around. I don't remember like even thinking about the writing style the first time around. It might have been like back when I didn't really care that much about writing style at all, so maybe that's why. But I'm actually really liking the writing style in this one, so I think I might end up really liking this book, which makes me really happy. So I will definitely be continuing on with this one today. I also want to start The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. This is my unwrapped book for the week, and it's Wednesday, so I really need to get started on this one. It has 307 pages, which means I have to be on page 154 by the end of the week in order to keep the book. That's not that much at all. It's only like 150 pages, which shouldn't be a problem, but I should actually start it at least this week so that I can get to that. So yes, I'm gonna start this today. I'm gonna continue on with The Blade Itself. Oh, also this morning, I forgot my audiobook, Us Against You by Frederick Bachman. I finished it this morning and wow, the ending is like, it's so good. I really loved Us Against You. Maybe not more than Beartown, but at least it was still a 5-star book for me. Like it was so good. I really loved it. And I kind of want another book in that town, like in that setting and with those characters and all of that. Like I kind of want another one.
even though like it's not really necessary. Like each of the books were like contained within themselves. At this point, I'm just a fan. So yes, I really enjoyed Us Against You, and I started the audiobook for All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. That's my historical fiction for the month, and we will see how that goes. So I made some good progress in the graveyard book. I am right there now. That's the first 2 chapters that I read. Also, I didn't realize this, but there are illustrations in the book. I really like the illustrations. They're very pretty, and I'm liking this a lot more than I expected to. So I'm hoping that this ends up being a new favorite, because it could potentially be a new favorite, and I really want to like Neil Gaiman, and I haven't really liked any of the books that I've read by him so far, so I'm really hoping that I end up liking this. I read volume 5 for Full Metal Alchemist, and I'm pretty engrossed in this one. I'm gonna go read volume 6 now, because you can't leave me like that. This is really good. I really enjoyed it. I gave volume 5 4.5 stars, and I cannot wait to get to volume 6. So I'm super excited, and I have some of the other volumes. I bought some of the other volumes because I knew I was gonna want to read it, and I might get to some of those today. But I picked up volume 5 kind of on a whim. I was just feeling tired, and I wanted like something to wake me up a little bit, and this one always seems to wake me up when I'm tired. I like tend to read it before bed, and I was like really tired before I start reading it, and then like when I'm ready to go to sleep then. So I'm not gonna read this before bed anymore, but I was like getting a little sleepy in the day, so I decided to pick it up, and wow, I'm really into it right now, and I really want to get to the next volume. So it's Thursday, March 14th. Yesterday, I finished the 6th volume in Full Metal Alchemist, and I absolutely loved it. The 6th volume is the backstory that I've been wanting for so long, and it's so well done and so good, and it kind of makes me want to watch the anime, because I have a feeling that it would be really good with like motion, and in the anime, obviously there's going to be motion, but yeah, so I really love volume 6, and I'm definitely really invested in Full Metal Alchemist now. I also made a lot of progress in All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I am so attached to these characters. I love the writing in this book. The writing is so beautiful and well done, and I really like it so far. So I'm really glad that I like All the Light We Cannot See, because World War II historical fictions are very hit or miss for me, but so far I really like this one. So last night, as I was going to sleep, since January, I've been rereading the Harry Potter series on audio. So I've been listening to the audiobooks every night for about half an hour before I go to sleep. Not every night, but most nights. And last night, I got to Goblet of Fire. I was like close to the end of Goblet of Fire, and for some reason, I couldn't sleep. Like every time it got to the end of like the half an hour, I just like extended the timer and extended the timer and extended. You get the point. I ended up finishing Goblet of Fire. So that's my popular book that I reread for the ReReadathon, because I'm definitely participating in that, guys, even though I end up reading pretty much not that many reread books. Yeah, but I really enjoyed it. I didn't really like it. The Harry Potter series, it's so hard for me to read slowly, even though I'm really trying to. This morning, I started listening to Order of the Phoenix because like after Goblet of Fire, I just couldn't not listen to Order of the Phoenix. Like I'm just really into the series right now. So I'm actually halfway through Order of the Phoenix. I tried to reread the series really slowly. I tried, guys. I really tried, but it's not happening. So I kind of paused on All the Light We Cannot See because I really wanted to read Order of the Phoenix. Hey guys, it's Sunday, March 17th, and I had to go out of town for a couple of days, so I didn't do a lot of continuation with the vlog because I didn't anticipate that. Forgot to bring my book with me. So there's 2 days where I couldn't get to it, and still right there, but I'm gonna give myself 2 more days, so that's today and tomorrow, Monday, to get to the 50% mark, because it's extenuating circumstances, and I actually was really enjoying the beginning of this book. So I think it shouldn't be a problem if I just had those 2 days. So I will be getting to this one, and I did definitely enjoy what I've read of this one. Over the course of those days though, all I had was my phone, and I did have audiobooks from my library, but I just wasn't in the mood for anything like new, and it was the ReReadathon, so I figured let me just continue on with my rereads. So as you guys know, I finished Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire
earlier this week on audio. Very good, by the way. And I started Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix on audio earlier this week, like before I left. I remember this book being a little boring, like out of all the Harry Potter books, this one is like the really big one. And I remember it being a little boring. This time around, I didn't think it was boring. The DA, which happens in this book, is actually very interesting, and I really, really enjoyed it. I also ended up finishing Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, so that's like 60 hours of audiobook. So I did do a lot over the last 2 days. This one was actually a little bit more boring to me. The whole Malfoy plot, just, I had no desire to read that plot, which is interesting. But I did really enjoy this one as well. And I'm currently on Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. If you guys, I don't know if that's in frame, but if you guys can see that. I'm going to go back to listening to it slowly though, because it's the end of the ReReadathon, and I have other books that I do want to read. But over the course of these 2 days, I just wanted something easy that I wouldn't have to pay too much attention to be really into the story. So I liked it, I enjoyed it. I hadn't planned to kind of like rush through those the way I did, but I really enjoyed it. So this week has been interesting. I ended up finishing 12 books this week, which is a lot, but most of them were rereads. So let's get into those really quick. The first book I finished was Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. So this was a reread for me. It wasn't technically part of the ReReadathon because I read most of it last week. I listened to this on audiobook, but it does meet one of the ReReadathon challenges, which is give a book a second chance. This is a book that I didn't really like the first time around. It also kind of meets the ReReadathon challenge of a recent favorite, and that's because The Rumble of the Elderlings is one of my favorite series now, mostly because of the Lives of Traitors series, which I've been reading. But this is the first book in that overall series, and I hadn't liked it before, but it felt like a good backstory to the rest of the series. I was just really interested in it for that aspect, and I really enjoyed it, which was surprising. I ended up giving it 4 stars. The next book that I finished was Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, and this was also on audio. This was my wrapped book for last week, and I actually really enjoyed this also. The second half of this book is so good. I love the second half of this book. I love the characters in the second half of this book. This first half of this book, I kind of thought the characters were pretentious and annoying and I didn't like them. But in the second half of the book, they're still pretentious and annoying, but I love them. I really love them in the second half of this book. So yes, I actually really enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. Probably one of my favorite thrillers that I've read. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. The next one was City of Brass by S.A. Chakrabarti. I didn't like this one as much as I wanted to. I ended up giving this one 2.5 stars, and it was mostly because of the writing style. The writing style just didn't jive with me at all. I didn't think it worked for high fantasy in general, and I didn't like the characters either. I did do a full review for this one, so I'll link that up in the corner so you guys can check that out if you're really interested in knowing more of my detailed thoughts on this one. And that one is actually a pretty long review. Most reviews are like 5 minutes. This one was like almost 15 minutes, maybe? I don't remember exactly, but yeah. This was on my 5-star predictions also, and I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. Then I finished The Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill. This is a graphic novel that I got in the February Outcrate, and I actually really enjoyed it. I really like some of the artwork in this one. Beautiful artwork. And I was surprised by how good the world building was for such a small, short graphic novel. It was actually really enjoyable, and I do recommend it if you like graphic novels. And of course, I continued on with Full Metal Alchemist by Furumo Arakawa. I read 4 volumes, so I read volumes 3, 4, 5, and 6, and I absolutely love this series now. Volume 6 is the backstory that I have been waiting for since volume 1. It was so good. So good. I am giving volume 3 4 stars, volume 4 4.5 stars, volume 5 4.5 stars, and volume 6 5 stars. It was really good. It was really good. I'm super excited for continuing on with the rest of the series. I did buy, because I finished the one that I had, I ended up buying like volume 7 through, I want to like say 18, maybe 21, something like that. But super excited for the rest of this series. Then my first real reread for the ReReadathon, Once Upon a Male Girl by Jean Ferris, which this is a childhood favorite, I think, was the one that I put this under, but it can also be an underrated book because not a lot of people read this book. So I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars, I think. It's written like a fairy tale, so it has that kind of feel. It's definitely more of a children's book rather than even a middle grade book, but really enjoyed it, and I'm glad that I liked it still because I love this book as a child like so much. Loved it as a child and still really enjoyed it as an adult. It only took me like a couple of hours to read this book. It was really short, only like 270 pages, but they're like not much words on each page, but really, really good. And then of course, like I mentioned, I reread the 4th, 5th, and 6th Harry Potter books, currently reading the 7th one, but that one will take like a month because I'm not gonna read a lot every day. Listen to the audiobooks for these, really, really enjoyed them. So good. Before we get going, we gotta talk a little bit about my wrapped books. As I already mentioned, the last couple of days I did not have the book with me, so I wasn't able to get to it. So I'm gonna give myself 2 more days to continue on with the Graveyard book, which I think I'll end up keeping because it's not that much that I have to read left over. And I'm actually enjoying what I've read so far, so I'm excited for that. And now it's time to unwrap the book for next week. So I got Fallen Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. I'm kind of excited about this one because I love high fantasy. You guys know this. And this is a high fantasy novel that I believe it's a young adult high fantasy novel, but it's often compared to like adult high fantasy novels. I've heard there's a lot of great fantasy tropes in there, but I've also heard that it gets a little cliche, so which is why it ended up as a wrapped book. But I'm excited for it because this is a series that I've always been intrigued by, but never quite like gravitated towards. So I'm excited to get to this one. I think I might actually really like this one. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I post videos every Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday, so consider subscribing. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up to support my channel. All social media links are in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.